Which is it's so interesting as you describe it this way, because, I mean, the irony here, perhaps, is that despite being the champion of a number of issues that members of the evangelical community care about, he doesn't exactly hold the highest esteem for the people in the community. I mean, he's called them so-called Christians, pieces of you-know-what, which I'm not going to use the exact term because it's a family show, when they don't support him. So it sounds like what you're saying is they're aware. I mean, my question was, do they know that they're being used, and is that okay with them? Because they're using him too.
In fact, I think that it is okay with many of them. Now, don't get me wrong. Here again, there's some nuance. There are lots of these folks who firmly, deep in their bones, believe that Trump has become a born-again Christian, that he is one of them, that he is a divine tool, a God-ordained leader at this time for these purposes, and that he is not just fighting for them, but that he is one of them truly, right? I would say that that is a smaller minority of these folks. I think the great majority of them, they recognize that he's not one of them. They recognize even that he probably, says these things, holds these views of them in private, and they don't really care. I'm reminded, even just a couple of weeks ago, he's using this awful, vulgar language at a political rally, dropping MFs and the like, right? And I remember seeing some of the Twitter traffic around, these evangelical spaces where people were basically just shrugging and saying, yeah, like, but so what, right? Like, this is zero sum. He wins or we lose, right? And those are the stakes. They are stakes not just at a partisan level. They are stakes for many of these people, Jen, at a spiritual level, that this is good and evil, and it's binary, and Trump is the one who's the field general charging into the trenches against the evil progressives who are trying to banish Christianity from public life.
I think the answer to this is they don't care, but I want to know. I mean, is there anything that Trump could do at this point? Like, say, for example, Trump was just talking about being a dictator on day one this week. Is there anything he could do like that would make them turn the other way? Or what do you think they'd think of? What do you think the community thinks about him saying something like that?
Well, it's interesting. Donald Trump, after the 2022 midterms, he threw pro-lifers under the bus in a pretty brazen way.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we really saw a bit of a slippage with his numbers as it pertains to the white evangelical base. There was a real opening there for a Pence or a DeSantis, a Haley, somebody to exploit that vulnerability. There were a lot of pro-lifers very upset with him, and by extension, some evangelicals really upset with him. And then shortly thereafter, Jen, Alvin Bragg delivered that first indictment, and his numbers went right back up, like a hockey stick graph, right? And I think what that speaks to is a certain persecution complex that is very real in certain quarters of the evangelical world, where they believe that the culture is coming for them, that Christianity is under siege, that before long they won't even be able to gather physically and worship together. And Donald Trump, in fact, for these 91 counts and for all of the criminal and civil proceedings, all these clouds hanging over him, they're not supporting him in spite of those things. In many ways, they're supporting him because of those things. Because when he says that I am your retribution, and when he says that they're coming after you, but they've got to get to me first.
They hear it as them.
They hear it as them. It resonates deeply.
Tim Alberta, this is quite a book. I really appreciate you coming in.